Hello everybody and welcome back. I am Mr. JP. The game is Out of Ore. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm amazed at the response to the weekly walkabout in 24 hours. You guys are freaking amazing. It's crazy. So thank you all. Thank you to the guys at NMC as well, Developer Christian. The big news of the day, the soil update landed last night. I had a quick play with it. Got the bulldozer out, decided to sell the small bulldozer because it appears to be a bit buggy. Cutting position on the blade isn't right at the moment. There's a few things up with that. It was running downhill like it was on wheels. Yeah, it was a bit crazy. So I got rid of that. Had a play with the big dozer, that went a bit more effectively. Learned how to use the new bulking system, which you can convert in the settings. I'll be going over that in a minute. So yeah, the first big thing, there is a ramp here because people were having problems here with their grizzly, so it's sort of erased something that I was using, which when material fell out and piled up around the grizzly, I was using this gap at the front here to smooth it out and get rid of the pile that was building up underneath. You can see a little bit building up at the back here, yeah, so that's sort of possibly going to be annoying, but I can always get in here with that wheeled digger and clean it out. So yeah, standard conveyor system might convert that a little more. In fact, yeah, let's do that now. What are we going to need? Yeah, I've got that. You'll see I've got piles and piles of. That's what I need to do. Firstly, I need to clean out my inventory. So yeah. I'm in two minds about this soil mod. I think after a couple of updates, once Christian's got it polished, because it needs polish, but I like it. At the same time, I miss it. The old version was nice and stable with those balls as long as you didn't push it. And currently, it doesn't appear that there's any way to push it yet. This bulking thing has advantages though. The bulking mode's really quite smooth. I think it's going to be good for managing surge piles of valuable goods because you don't lose as much when you're cutting with it. So that's quite nice. You see, I can't reach that to delete it, but if I just zoom out in the third person mode, there we go. Poof, gone. So yeah, the balls dropping. The distance they drop seems to generate some kind of lag when they drop too far. So having a corner and a drop isn't a bad idea. Or a short drop isn't a bad idea. But at the same time, I just wanted to do this experiment and see how it worked out really. With the transport right there. And then I'm just going to put in another transport in there. Rotate it round. I'm using left click in the mouse to do that angled rotation, which means you can align things off axis, which comes in useful for certain types of builds later on. For some reason this is... There we go. Yeah, see, that's just too long. Just too long. So we won't be doing it like that. And this thing about building and why it's best to start from the end rather than trying to build to the end, it's because you end up with little problems like this. So what I wanted to do here isn't going to work the way I wanted it to. So we'll go back to having a conveyor on there. So I've actually added a component and I've made my system more expensive. I think it's costing me 10 grand a day when it's running, so I'm not even going to worry about that at the moment because I am Croesus due to the equipment I sold and stuff. So we'll run it like this instead. I hope I got that belt in the right way around. Yeah, good. So hopefully this means that I've still got that short drop at the end here. Just do an experiment. So yeah, other things about the update. it's still running relatively smoothly. Frames per second up at 50 still. Still got my machine in here. I've got my dumper truck in there. We'll be running a machine in a minute and having a play. I got rid of the 302 because it's bugged. It's still a nice loader to use, it works, but when you set up the GPS, it's centered to the wheelbase, not the bucket, which is different to the 500, which is centered on the bucket, and I think it should be centered on the bucket. I don't know whether it's because I had the GPS in a different position on the vehicle, but I haven't noticed any differences between the vehicles like that previously, so yeah, not convinced about that one. We'll see what comes up. So let's get into this, and yeah, initial impressions, machine handling seems to be on for at least the 501, and you'll see here just zeroing up the GPS. Click the 0 there on the little yellow box in the left hand side here. It brings this line down to the centre of our artificial horizon, as it were, and you can see that this one is definitely aligned to the bucket. When I move the bucket around, the GPS is definitely on there. So let's go over to this end of the pile, and I'll show you the first advantage of this bulking compared to the old soil system. Alright, we'll get the blade down. Now, this used to be a cut position, and it just doesn't. It is cutting in, but it's not smoothing. We're rolling. You see, just not doing the job. So we'll back right up, come up a bit, and get the blade down a little more. Oop. Come on, mouse. There we go. So my mouse sticks up. My mouse pad's a red colour. Anyone got any advice on the right colour of mouse mat for an optical mouse? Whether it should have some kind of grid on it for it to read? I don't know. This one that I've got currently is meant to be a gamer's mouse, and it's got this button on it that does DPI, and it's got these two little side buttons. It's just a 5-button mouse, you know, with the wheel. It's got some glowy lights, but it's a piece of shit. Its pickup is horrible. Like, it's got these nice weights inside of it that adjust the weight for you. It's all very nice, so it's nice and heavy for me, because I like a heavy mouse because I'm a big guy. This mouse is so narrow it doesn't fit my hand, so any advice on better mice, people? You know, leave it in the comments. I'm thinking about joysticks. I think a joystick will be advantageous for playing these games. A friend of mine needs a hard drive. We're probably going to go shopping in PC World. So the fact I'm broke. That's what overdrafts are for. Let's help ruin the financial system of the country. Yeah, I'm a bit of an anarchist like that. Don't like the way the banks have been screwing us all over for years, and there is a generation gap on charges and interest rates and a few other things that I have noticed compared. I've had power of attorney on more than one relative, so I've been running other people's finances, and they get different offers to me, and I've got more money than them, which was a bit crazy. So yeah, I'm a bit upset with the banking system. So anyone else who's an anarchist out there, I feel your pain. I really feel your pain. Like, especially if you've got a brain and you're quite loving, like I am. I love the world we live in. Like I think it's beautiful, the varieties, all these kinds of things. But why on earth? Where did the selfish just bugs me. Anyway, back to the bulking. As you can see, you sort of slide around a lot more when you're digging. You don't generate the balls. I'm liking it though. It's nice. That's the second bucket full. Really should operate the other hopper so that we can get both machines running. I am liking it though, guys. Like, as you can see, it doesn't waste material as much as the old system. I haven't gone into a resource yet with it, but we might try that in a sec. So yeah, I'll just slide. You see, it slides up, and then you start to push the material rather than when it's a low pile. I'll go into a low bit to demonstrate that in a sec. I'll go in over here and do some smoothing. So I need to open this up. I need a ramp out. I've got no ramp down to this place currently. This machine is stuck. I have dug myself into a bit of. Well, no, I drove into the hole. This was built as a bit of a hole. So what I've done here is I've cut into the hillside with a big valley, and I put my hoppers down in the bottom there, so that all of the gear that I dig out here drops straight down into there. But dropping material through air when there's a lot of other material being generated and stuff appears to be where the lag sort of comes in. And I also started to notice more and more lag the longer I played. I think I did about an hour's worth of processing earlier. I didn't record the video then because it was early morning and my household was still asleep. But you can see I'm having problems getting material into the bucket there. And it just sometimes slides. This was the problem I had with the dozer, it just wouldn't cut in on a little ridge like that very well. And that's not deep rock either. That's pretty much along the surface line of the hill. I'm heading towards an original ridgeline that I've been using as a ramp, so it's mainly dirt. So I'm not expecting to see much profit out of this. I suppose I could put the cone crusher on the line, see if that makes a difference. I haven't used the cone crusher yet. I don't think you guys have seen that, so maybe we'll do that in this video. It's going to be a long one, so this is gameplay. I'll probably try and shut up for a bit as well, because I think there's those of you out here who like watching it but don't like listening to me. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do some silent gameplay vids that are marked as silent, you know, if you're putting them on for your kids or something. Let me know, and I'll make up some specific content for, you know, certain sections of my audience. It's all about improving the channel, improving my performance as a creator. I guess it's the right term. Like, I'm so new to this, I don't even know what we call ourselves. YouTubers. Let me know. Personally, I prefer Mr. JP Games Analysis, which is what my Discord is called, by the way. I've started a Discord, Mr. JP Gaming Analysis, I think is what it's called. But yeah, if you're on the Discord, and I don't know if there's a private messaging system inside YouTube. If anyone knows how to post a link to a Discord correctly, because I've been having a few issues with it, let me know in the comments. I do have a friend of mine who I'll be seeing sometime this week who will help me out with it. But it would be nice to get the Discord going, a place where all my fans, or people who want to, or critics even. I mean, critics, yeah, critics totally welcome. In fact, in some ways as welcome as fans, because you can't have fans without critics. Life is duality, and if you've got all fans, you end up like a bit mutated, either in a good or a bad way. Like, you know, your Michael Jacksons and your Britney Spears. They've suffered for their popularity and their fans, you know. And then you've got the people like the Vladimir Putins of the world, who are so isolated and surrounded by people who think they're the bee's knees that they don't know when they're wrong. So yeah, powerful tools. You've got to maintain a balance. It's all about duality. So yeah, you can see this bulking mechanism. I just took the top off of that uphill, and I've got a full bucket. This is kind of useful because it means that previously getting balls into the bucket from a high altitude was kind of difficult. So yeah, this bulking thing I think is growing on me. Yeah, it's growing on me, I think is the best way of putting it. It's like some kind of weird nasty. It's growing on me. I didn't like it at first, but now it's starting to please me. Anyone who's seen Futurama, the brainworm thing, this is what it reminds me of, because I've seen a lot of people disliking this. You see, I got half a bucket off the top there, and previously coming in again would have been a bit awkward, because the one thing this bulking method does is help prevent spillage. You see, I'm not, because it skims, it leaves a lot more little ridges around in the deck, so the grader might actually be a useful cleanup tool now. But you can just finish off a bucket load by scraping gently in, and then if I can demonstrate this, it'll be a miracle. But it will start to build up a hump in front of it as you push material, and you can just push that hump along and pile it up. Got a bit of a V cut going on into that coal there. I might have to get rid of that. So yeah, we'll drop that out there. Yeah, saw the coal go. Okay. Do a bit more. Take a bit more of the shallow cut out. Just see whether I can get any better. I think a lot of this is going to be down to practice as well. I did find that my performance with the 500 loader improved significantly after a night's sleep. Also the gear lock, staying slow. Staying slow is important. So yeah, a lot of this is down to practice, guys. If you're getting frustrated and you're not getting in and you're sliding around and it's all going a bit crazy, take a break. Play something else. When I get down with this game, which hasn't happened yet, which is quite impressive because as I found out from a letter from a doctor in London, apparently she thinks I've got autism or ADHD. I kind of agree with her. At the same time, I'm wondering how much of it was the effect of I've been sort of stuck in and not socialised since the start of the whole COVID thing. My entire life's been destroyed, and now I'm sat in a room with one lady who's not that attractive, and another younger lady who was very attractive and nearly my height. And when you're 6 foot plus by a significant amount, finding a woman you can look in the eye without getting neck ache is a rarity. So they tend to score quite high up on a scale of the 1 to 10. So I might have been a little bit more hyper than normal. First time in a room, well, with people, just people. I reckon they could have been blokes and I'd have been hyper, you know. Before it all happened, I was quite gregarious. I enjoyed the company of people a lot. Played airsoft, and that's it's funny. Airsoft's a very male environment, and you know, it's not somewhere you go to meet girls. There are girls there, but they're normally married or got shorter hair, wear big shoes, you know, the kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, love them to bits. They're great girls on the pitch. I'm one for equality in the military, but I believe in total equality. So in some ways I also believe in a segregated military. I think if you get a bit of competition going and have some all-female units, all-female ships, all-female tanks, not entire tank corps, but all-female tanks, so the entire crew is female. And I think that by basically setting up the girls against the boys inside the military setup like that, getting a little bit of competition going between them, you know, I think everyone will perform better. Keeps everyone on their toes. Reminds the guys that the reason that they fight and the reason they exist is actually a living, breathing reality. Gives the girls a chance to prove that they can do it as well as the boys, because I think that's what a lot of it sometimes is about. And I think they can. There are roles where they are disadvantaged by their size or strength, and perhaps in commando units that are likely to be captured behind the lines, perhaps that isn't a place to deploy women due to the risks of capture. I don't think it's fair to expose it. It's not fair to expose anybody to those kind of risks, and you do try to avoid it as a commander, but it's a reality. It can happen. You only have to look at the examples of Gravity Zero, Modern Warfare. Everything went wrong. They ended up captured. So yeah, it's yeah, equality, definitely. There are certain roles that women are actually better at, proven by science. One is pilots, I think. So yeah. As for this bulking system, as I say, it's growing on me. It's working. We're not noticing any frame lag yet, but I haven't got the machines actually switched on. So the only balls we're generating that aren't using the bulking system are the ones going into the hoppers, and they'll be disappearing quite quickly because I've got a lot of hoppers on this system. But yeah, when I was running the machinery earlier and putting this bulk material into the dumper, once the dumper was full and it wasn't overflowing, things were getting a bit hectic. I don't know what was going on there. So right, I think we've got plenty in these hoppers at the moment. I'll go and switch the machines on. So yeah, sorry for the length of this video, guys. I'll try and title it as a gameplay video with my impressions of the... One thing I did do between this play and the last is I verified my game files in Steam, and this can help improve game performance after updates by, you give it a play, if it gives you trouble, verify it, and it just reorganises everything, sorts the file architecture out, I guess, does pretty much a reinstall. I mean, I don't know how it works. I'm not a software programmer or an expert in these things. So yeah, got a few thousand in there. Take it over here, have a look-see. Got material coming out. And so let's have a look at this dumper's bulking system. I'm trying not to ramble as much today. I'm sorry for all the rambling, guys. I just, as I say, probably just need to go to the pub and sit there and talk to a load of drunk people who aren't going to remember my rambling, so that I can do it again next week. But at the same time, because of a dietary problem I have, which is salicylate intolerance, and if anyone out there is a fellow sufferer, please leave something in the comments. It's a weird one. You're basically allergic to all vegetables, but it's the first symptom of salicylate intolerance is an allergy to aspirin and ibuprofen. You feel absolutely horrible when you take them, trust me, because I took them as a test to prove that it was the problem. Yeah, so this dumper, as you can see, is slowly filling off of this. I was expecting to see a lot more material coming out than that. Due to the bulking, I no longer need these, which were purely there to stop material dropping this way, so it went into the hoppers when the dumper overflowed, so they can go. Keeping things tidy, the less of those exposed grill works you have, I have noticed. The more of these blocks you have, sort of with these grid bits exposed, the more of a graphical load there is when they come into view. I noticed it was reduced a lot when I stopped. I turned off the shadowing. I think that was the one I turned off, and yeah, it's far superior. So yeah, I've reduced all my graphics down to 0 for smoothness. My machine's not that old. Got a 1080 graphics card, so that should be okay. But my little i7's only a 9th gen. But from all my reading, it shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. So with all the lag, I think it's software optimization. Just have a quick look at the grader. See, I love the look of this model. It's such a cool machine. So yeah, grader controls. You got the arrow keys, which give you left and right lean on the left and right. You've got your up and down on there as well. You've got control and shift next to your arrow keys, the right control and shift, which rotate the blade, which is kind of handy. You know what I mean? And then on YH, I think it's YHG and Y. Let me just see. You've got nothing on Y and H, but you can slide the blade on G and J, left and right, which for those who are getting annoyed about running over bulls, it's sort of a handy thing. So yeah, gonna have a play with that with the new bulking mode, gonna have a play with this excavator with the new bulking mode at some point. Let's go back and have a look at this dumper, see whether it's full or not, because this was filling really quickly when I was loading earlier and when I was sat there, and I thought for this video it'd be fine to just do what I did just here, but yeah, you can see this is filling up slowly. I would like some kind of load gauge on these dumpers to indicate that how much load is in here, but I guess you could say that the gap between the frame and the shape of the bulk load going in there indicates when you're full. Excuse me a minute, early in the morning. Yeah, as I said, this bulk mode, I like the way the material looks in there. It is more farm sim, or so this bulk. This is the point where I wish these small hoppers had an on-off, so you could use them as a loading hopper. Someone wants to forward some of this video to Christian with this guy's got some opinions you might want to hear. That would be kind of cool. If NMC are watching my videos, please let me know and I'll try and improve my content faster. Like, if I knew you guys were watching, that would be one heck of a kick in the ribs to improve my game. Yeah, all my life it's been service to others as a carpet fitter. You're going into people's houses and you're doing work for them that isn't structural to the house. You know, it's not something that's got to be done, it's something they want decoratively. It's fluffy, it makes their life comfier, and I really, really miss it. So making content that satisfies you guys and that you want to see is sort of like carpet fitting for me. It gives me the same kind of buzz. And life's all about buzz, it's where you get it. I used to be an adrenaline junkie, so yeah, I'm at a bit of a loss with only being able to lift 10 kilos and no exposure to high G-forces. Can't even go on fairground rides. So yeah, this is an interesting thing from the bulking. If your back end is facing uphill, you can't tip, because I haven't got that load locked. You don't need load lock anymore with bulking on. So yeah, this is a bit strange. If you see what I mean. We'll try reducing it now and pointing downhill. Oh, yeah, we've lost some now. Doesn't appear... Yeah, there we go. So you don't have to tip fully to tip off with the dumper. That's the problem I was having earlier. Okay. I've only done a couple of tips with the dumper. We're still learning here. So yeah, it looks like the tip range, full tip locked it all in. But when I got into the half intermediate point, it started tipping. So that could be interesting for the road build once we get some of this built. I need to get in here with a loader or a bulldozer and level a load of this out. And this is really steep, this slope. Might expand that, well, I'm going to expand that corner out to the bottom of the lithium seam to mine it out anyway. So there's going to be some more road work on this road, it's not finished. How does everyone else road build? I mean, are you having much success? Let me know in the comments, like whether you build roads or whether you just sort of smooth out the terrain and drive between blocks to mark where you've smoothed, because it stays green. So we'll stick this back under here for the loading, and I'm going to go back over to the 501 loader. I love this thing. It's lonely out here in the wasteland, you know, it's a single player game, and spending a lot of time with this old girl. Haven't named her yet though. It's funny how people personalise or humanise or identify with the equipment they start using. It's spoken about in science fiction. It's, you know, because they're using AIs that are almost human and that kind of thing. It's spoken about sort of in the military. It's spoken about online. There's actually a word for feeling like someone's your close friend when you've never met them, like as an internet relationship or even as a YouTuber. I can't remember what it is, personophilia or something. But yeah, I read an article about it on, ironically, the BBC. They're not normally one for information, but this one was quite interesting. And yeah, the psychological stuff involved is quite interesting for how humans relate to each other. It's quite sad that the modern world causes that kind of isolationism for people. Yeah. So yeah, my initial impression of this is, there we go, we're starting to get some lag now. I just got a frame drop to 38, and it pinged back above 50 actually on the comeback. So I don't know whether it's related to the fact that I'm dropping these balls through gravity, and whether I should be piling up small hoppers on top of each other to drop these things into the system. I might rig up another hopper here and do that experiment actually. Stick one down round on 90 degrees. Might even get another machine in. I don't know. That's something for the next video, I think, expanding the machine. Did I even turn on the crushers? Yeah, they are spewing out. That's all right. Yeah. Oh, 600. That's not bad. Might be the coal going through that I dug out earlier. So yeah, you get a feel for the material you're digging and how much you're going to get out of your machines. If you're running your machines into the dumper truck, which is now looking like more of an option, then you'll be able to see your profit margin a lot better. When I start cutting open my next lithium seam, which might also, I don't know what to do next. I'll probably decide once I've had breakfast. I'm never good when I'm hungry. Have a Snickers, JP, have a Snickers. Yeah, so I wish I could have a Snickers. Yeah, I can't eat chocolate, can't eat veg. If you slice open a cucumber near me, I start to sniffle. Perfumes, you name it. It's a horrible thing, this salicylate intolerance. As I say, and the NHS, the health service in the UK, does not support the intolerance very well. Like you're diabetic, you can get special foods when you're on the ward. You see how that lump built up in front of the blade just then? That's what I mean by this bulking thing's going to be good for bulk surge piles. Yeah, you can't get food on the NHS as a salicylate intolerant. Like they're really good. They cater for loads of things. Like I was really impressed with the menu, but yeah, no good for me. You pretty much just need a barbecue and a lump of meat. Like that's the total cooking ability needed here. If you can deep fat fry some potatoes, that's great too, because I can eat them. Cereals, certain ones are okay, but maize is evil. Like if you're suffering from chronic fatigue, headaches, migraines, nosebleeds, aching body all over, you wake up in the morning and you're just running, cut out onions, cut out maize, see what happens. Cut out some salicylates. The weird ones that got me were my deodorants. Two of the deodorant flavours of Lynx that I had were fine on me. One of them was evil. I sprayed it on and I was ill. And yeah, I looked at the label and actually one of the few things that said contains salicylates, which is a rarity because they're not labelled very well either. You have to know your chemicals. So yeah, we're working this machine here at the moment. Just slowly scraping away here. Eventually I'll cut my way through to that road and we'll have a nice smooth road into this deck level. Really must see. I turned my sensitivity down on the bucket for working with those balls, but I think now I might be able to turn it back up to get a bit more speed out of it, which yeah, we'll just go into that actually, because I haven't shown you that yet. So in here, settings. In the normal settings here, you've got bulk options for all of these, and you see excavator is as standard off, the dozers and the loaders are on, the graders it's off, and trucks it's on. So you'll generate balls at the moment, standard settings with the excavators and the graders. Yeah, there's nothing else different in there. And in controls, I'm just going to go through this because I don't think I ever have. We'll click on the loader, and you come down to the bottom, bucket tilt in and out, and I've got it on sensitivity 2. I'm going to turn it up to 3, see whether it makes any kind of difference to the feel. 0.2 of dead zone on it, that's probably fine. So the trick to saving controls, click save controls down at the bottom here after you've made an adjustment, then don't click the red arrow, click back, and then click save controls at the bottom here again, like that. Now click the red X, go back to your game, and you'll see that will save your settings. For those of you that it keeps losing settings, if you're not doing that double trick, it will lose your settings, because it was me. Once I started doing that, it remembered. Yeah, that's a bit better. Yeah, that's a lot better in fact. Okay, so yeah, hopefully that'll save your control saving problem, is that you have to do that double save in both the menus, and it appears to fix it. It fixed it for me anyway. But as I say, I'm playing on an older system, so for all you guys on modern systems, and I do believe this game will probably be going to the consoles. I don't know. I know there's a few games that I play that are now on consoles, so if you're on a console on a game that I'm playing, things may be different. Yeah, so be aware of that one. So yeah, we're just going to load up these machines a little bit more. Really should go and check that dumper over, make sure it's not full. Okay. So yeah, the game is still grabbing me. It's still as playable for what's going on with it. It's this soil update, in my opinion, is a step in the right direction for sure. You'll see as it spawns out of there, there's just a bit of lag. Well, you might not see, because if the whole computer's lagging in the graphics, then the video file will be lagging, and everything will run together as one because the computer's seeing it all in the right order. I do love computers for that sometimes. Yeah, I suppose I could just go and quickly try out. We'll go and empty that dump load. I'll let it dump out into its waste pile. So now it's just shove that stuff along. And I'll quickly try out the 501 just to see what's going on with that. I think. Sorry, the 500, the one with the teeth bucket, because that's getting laggy when it's dropping in at 33. So we'll go and see. It'll also be interesting to see whether the 500 is classed as a loader or an excavator. So I've been loading that front bucket pretty hard. So we'll just check out this machine on the way through. 1180, 580. So that'll run for a minute or two. But you can leave the machines off, fire them up, and they'll have thousands of percent in them. I know this is a strange thing. This is still sat here loading like this, and it's not overflowing. Is there a point where it starts to overflow? Just doing the tip test, seeing at what point this starts to tip. Oh, okay. So it's reasonably high, but you can go through it and it doesn't tip for some reason if you're not level. So that's going to spew out some waste material. So yeah, a part like this I can at least control how often that spews out a massive amount of material. And when you drive away, of course, it means that the material builds up on a waste pile. If this ramp is high enough, you don't even need the hoppers and stuff. You can just have a slope and let it roll down the hill and into your waste pile. In theory, as I found out, there's some little tricks here. A floor that's built high enough up will stop material from generating to a reasonable degree. I still ended up with a mushroom back there on that ramp, and that ramp was about 2 or 3 blocks up eventually, but it did increase the amount that you could mine before you needed to do a clean out. Which, to be fair, that's probably the test for the 500. I'll come over here and I'll hit the clean out pile and I'll see if I can level out some of this road. It's currently a nightmare. So yeah, we're going, okay, which way are we going to go here? Go down across the valley, or I can go around the edge and along that ridge. My money's on along the ridge because I like building roads along the sides of hills, and there's sort of a flat route through here. You see how there's this like little flat route edged bit that I'm sort of reversing around on anyway. It's almost like there's been a road previously pushed through here. See that line through to the bottom of that seam sort of thing? So yeah, maybe we'll go around there, go around the edge at the bottom of that seam and then up the hill again. Yeah, seems like a plan. I'm going to get out and scout that tower with a vehicle with the GPS and come back and mark the height of the route. I think is probably the best plan, but for the moment we'll just tip material here. A little bit of survey work, something that isn't really covered. This game is a sandbox sim. It's what you do and what you build, and so you've got to come up with these things yourself. So you've got the fuel missions, but to do the fuel missions it's a lot easier with a road, so you've got the survey mission, which is to sort of find a route for a road and cut it out. Ooh, 13 tons of ore for 3 grand, that isn't so bad. Might just be crushed rock value, but I do know that raw materials do go through the jaw crushers. One of the reasons I've been staying away from the cone crusher is I haven't done an experiment to see whether rich stuff goes through it or not, so that's something for when I cut out another seam, or there's that big coal deposit up at the top there, I might do it on that. But the idea of this machinery is so that I can just sort of pretty much run the material in from anywhere now. You'll see that that one there is 2 blocks higher, so it will go straight over the top of this waste out, so I won't have to move any of this, and that's a straight through into the grizzly, so you can just put any machine you like along that route and have it pour in for a little hopper built above it, so you can move your machinery around. It's the idea. The other thing you could do, which is probably what I'm going to do to start with, over there I've got that face mine. You've got 2 lithium seams, 3 lithium seams in that hill, so I'm just going to extend that conveyor in out to that hill, build a machine and just strip the hill. I think is the idea that I've got in my head at the moment. But as I say, anytime that you guys want to see a little something else, like if there's another piece of the area you'd like me to rip into because you're kind of curious about it, you've seen me looking over there in the videos but not really said anything about it. This is what I mean. I'm driving on a lithium seam. There's another one up the hill there. There's something over there as well. So this whole corner toward this first nearest tower has got lithium, and there's lithium at that tower as well. This is all crushed stone lying around from where I've ripped a decking out that was here. Those of you who saw earlier videos will remember there was machinery up here and all kinds of things. So yeah, hopefully when I've finished ripping that out I'll still have a road in. Otherwise I'll be busting out another road. So yeah, we're just going down to the waste management pile. As I say, the handling of the 500 is just as good as the 501. As I say, the 302 felt a little bit... oh, hello, we've got the gearbox problem. Stick on the parking brake. Stop, and you can get it into reverse. There's something going on with that. Maybe it's meant to be some kind of realism thing. But it is well annoying because it only happens when you're going downhill and rolling, and you just keep rolling and you can't change it into reverse, and you can't... Pressing reverse doesn't appear to do braking, so I might move the handbrake onto something else. So I've just bulk loaded that. Okay. I think this bulk loading might have just saved my opinion of the 500. Because it used to be that it used to spill a lot of stuff and destroy a lot of material, but of course now you can use that angled blade to your advantage, perhaps. Okay, front wheels on the deck this time. Right, you need your front wheels on the deck to cut, by the looks of things. Now, I think we're having the rough ground problem I was having with the dozer here. They just don't like to cut into rough ground. Dunno. If anyone has any advice or has noticed any traits about these loaders and the 500 in particular and this problem, let me know in the comments, because I'm an analytical gamer, but some of this is a little perplexing. It might just be with the update and needs a little bit of work. I'm wondering whether for destroying these waste piles, whether I should change to a different method. Okay. So I'll park that there, check the dumper out. I'm getting more used to jumping between vehicles. When I was running the 302 and the 500 in the quarry at the same time, I was just jumping between one to the other as I loaded stuff up. So yeah, take that out of there, let that start flowing down there again. I recommend that hopper method. That's one of the few things that if you wanted to copy, go ahead. Pretty simple. You can use vertical walls in them as well, and as long as your wheels run along the tops of the walls, everything's fine. You can make them any shape you like, any size you like. Really handy thing. If you offset the floor as well, you can get it through a 1 block gap, that little drop, and just have a 1 block chute out. So yeah, that's probably my most successful hopper build yet. It's the fruit of building 5 hoppers in different ways and deciding that yeah, that's the one I like at the moment for this job, more than anything. So yeah, we were having problems tipping out with the nose uphill. We'll see what it's like when we've got a bit of trunnion tilt on the go. This would roll a normal dumper if you were to raise the load whilst leaning over like this. It's yeah, you see, we've got no dumpability. So this needs work, guys. Likewise, where the rocks come out is a little low, I had noticed. And the load's locked in again at full tilt. Yeah, that's all out of line, and the rocks are appearing sort of underneath the chute. The whole thing needs to be higher. Yeah, the whole thing needs to be higher. So yeah, there's some work needed there. Maybe I'll try out the smaller dumpers, see whether they've got those models in line, because it does appear to be model related. Let's just have a look at the wheels, because I'd heard these wheels were out of line. Oh. Now I get what they were saying. They're not... Right, okay. I do believe that they're not... They're out of line on different sides of the vehicle. They're actually... The left side leads the right side in position slightly. So I'm getting what they're saying now. Now I get it. You have to look closely at these things. But yeah, the wheels aren't centered on the axles on one side. Okay. I mean, that's a little niggle. That's a model thing. That isn't a gameplay thing. That tilt and the pour out position being low makes me think that the wire frame that is a dumper that's behind the physical model you see is for the smaller dumper, which would explain why it's not dumping the loads. Yeah, you've got the small dumper settings on the big dumper model, boys, I reckon, by the looks of that. You know, the wireframe for the small dumper has got the big dumper's model wrapped around it, which would explain why you could walk through the nose of the big dumper. Whether the volume of the big dumper is different and is actually the small dumper, because I don't think I'm getting as far with my road build for each dump load that I'm dropping. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, this is going to be a really long video. I'm sorry about that, everybody. On the bright side, whilst it's uploading, I won't be able to play games or anything, so maybe I'll have some breakfast. Breakfast, cup of coffee, yeah, we'll try that again. Cup of coffee and a shower, and perhaps JP will be a little awaker and able to play the game a bit better. But that was a good demonstration how the bulking thing just builds up a wall in front of you as you scoop like that, and in some ways I think it is more realistic. I do like it. At the same time, there's bits of it that I don't, I got to admit, it's great not having to press the load lock button anymore. That's lovely. Like, that's the bit I like about this, is the material when in the bucket looks like material in a bucket, and it behaves like material in a bucket. It doesn't bounce around and jump out like admittedly rocks would. Like if you drove like a hooligan like I do, rocks and stuff would jump out of your bucket. It is about how you use the equipment. But in the game, when you've got a bucket load like that, you can jump across any terrain and it won't fall out. So let's see how I do on building something up here. Okay. You see, I do like the new dirt. It is forming much more nicely. It's not peaking as much as it used to, I guess would be the best way of putting it. So just lean that down until it starts to cut. There we go. Just take it over there. Empty that off there. See what I'm doing? You can see the problem here. My tip tower is becoming a little bit buried. I need to cut it out. So I'm just going to cut the top off a bit. Then I'm going to go in from the bottom and sort of really open it up. See there, I've got stuck. I'm sort of wedged. Why am I wedged? Come on. What's up there? Back wheels are off the deck. Maybe the front wheels are off the deck as well. Yeah, there we go. There's the 500 originals trait that I remember. The ability to cut a hole sideways and roll you. Yes, there it is. So yeah, as I say, this new dirt, considering like the developer only started talking about redoing the dirt like 2 or 3 weeks ago, said sorry for the delay at like the week because it wasn't out in a week. I mean, jeez. Other development games that I've fallen in love with, the railroad related one, which I should really do a video on, because some of you guys haven't played it, some of you probably don't know it. I should probably do an introduction to the game I'm slating. But yeah, we were waiting like months for things. On the Discord, the words soon TM became a standard reply from the developer, because they've been saying soon so long it became a joke. So yeah, perhaps that's why I'm a bit more infused by Christian as a developer than I should be. It's not a case of some weird love affair over the internet. It's the fact that the guy is doing great work. Like, here's an example to develop other developers that, you know, they're charging more for their game as well. This game is cheaper than that game, and it's better finished. It has a more dedicated developer. It deserves support. I think is the way to put it. You know, that's what it comes down to in life, is whether someone deserves supporting or not. Like, you see a lot of people making a lot of effort for a lot of people that are never going to pay it back in life, and you see them doing that, and you think, oh God, why are you wasting your time? Sometimes those people do change. Sometimes it is worth the effort. At the same time, if you're taking damage whilst you're trying to do it, it isn't worth the effort. You know, you can't rescue someone and become a casualty yourself. It doesn't work. It's the first rule of lifeguarding, is you don't jump in if you think you're not going to jump out again. You know what I mean? Even parajumpers who jump out of helicopters assess the situation and decide whether they can actually do anything by jumping out the helicopter. It's their job to, and they will, because you've got to be pretty nutty to be a parajumper, I've decided. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, there's still a decision there, and it's the same with developers. You got to decide how you're going to manage your public, because that was the first failure of the developer I'm slating. Christian's done a lot, well, and in MC they've done a much better job of that, and it's important. It's very important. Nuking your Discord and then leaving join us on Discord on your game's opening page is a bad move, because now there's all the new players that are buying the game or giving it a second shot are going looking for the Discord, and they can't find it. But yeah, please do search for Mr. JP Gaming Analysis on Discord if you're a Discorder. Let me know whether it's visible, whether you've managed to find it. I've got a mate who he's currently a member of my Discord. I think I'm going to kick him and ask him to search for it just as a test. But yeah, let me know. It might be that I have to set it up as a community instead of it's currently a friends one, because it's probably going to be pretty small. I say that. Gonna be honest, guys, the amount of views that I've had in the last, like, I think we've been going a month. I've done 4 weekly walkabouts, and the views are going through the roof. Subscribers are coming in all the time. It's freaking awesome. Like, it really is. I'm blown away. Like, literally, like, you can tell I've got verbal diarrhea. I've just managed to talk about this game and various odd stuff for an hour without really thinking about it or scripting anything, which why I ramble a bit. For me to be lost for words at what people are just doing by watching, you know, and just clicking a subscribe button and then muting me so you don't get posts about every piece of gameplay. You know, you might be doing that, but wow, like, yeah, shocking, absolutely shocking. I can't, you know, as someone who's made a lot of effort in life for very little recognition on occasion, wow, yeah, it blows me away. It's funny because I used to do drama, you know, sound and lighting mainly, but I sometimes got on the stage and performed. In school I was teaching history lessons because the teacher didn't know anything about the First World War other than the politics, so someone had to go into the weapons development and the technologies and how they affect our lives today, you know. And technologies of war, like, it's not all about killing people, you know. There's a lot of nursing technologies and surgical techniques and ways of dealing with injuries and casualties that have converted well to the civilian world, when you consider some of the things that happen in the cities today, and the injuries they see, you know, gunshot wounds, knife wounds, stupid stuff like, you know, someone's hair, you know, gas explosion and shrapnel. The ways of dealing with those injuries were probably discovered due to warfare, you know. Those kinds of injuries weren't happening in the natural home and naturally in society in that era, but they were happening in warfare. And the nurses, like I think Florence Nightingale, she was a wartime nurse. They came up with this stuff during that crucible of fire. Most technologies are built through necessity, so the technologies that save us from the coming energy crisis and global catastrophes that are on the horizon that no one's talking about, there are elephants in the room. And I'm not talking about blooming global warming. That's a joke. Global warming exists, don't get me wrong, but once you start to look into the symptoms of it on an astrophysical basis, a certain amount of it may well be not influenceable by man. Like, it was going to happen anyway. We might sped it up, but yeah, it's a fun one. But yeah, the whole I'll just this is the first time I've used this 500 loader for anything in game at the moment, and yeah, it's doing the job. It's doing the job. It's leaving quite a lumpy bumpy. I'll have to get out and smooth it. But yeah, so that appears to work quite nicely. So we know we've got a buggy dumper. We'll just oh, we've run out of material. I'm just going to tip that. So it's just a little low, isn't it, guys? That tip is a little low. It needs to be a bit higher up. And whilst we're parked on something that's semi-square, cool, that's caused some lag, 15 frames per second. So yeah, it's definitely in the physics of these rocks. They're sitting as well in the hoppers, you can see it through those gaps down at the bottom of the screen there. So they're using up physics calculations and graphics calculations sitting there like that. I think they need to convert those red hoppers so that they eat dirt faster into them. Anything that goes in is immediately converted rather than sitting there like that. Because what's the point in it sitting there? We can't manipulate it. It may as well be unmanipulatable and just disappear into the hopper's inventory with very little time delay. So that's my conclusion. Those red hoppers need to start eating dirt. Those small hoppers need an on-off for vehicle loading. This large dumper... yeah, there's something wrong here. The 302's GPS needs linking to the bucket instead of the chassis. We need some kind of system to filter the output of that drum before it goes into these crushers, so we can just take the rich stuff straight off like a wash plant. And yeah, 501 appears to be working well. Big bulldozer from my play last night works well on smooth ground, but they don't seem to cut in very well on broken ground. I'll have a play with the grader in the next video, I think. So yeah, it's all working out nicely. Let's say those lithium seams are cooling me, but at the same time, if I can get up here quickly this way, maybe. Here we go. Yeah, you can see where I've been working the big dozer in here and just pushing material down and off the hill. There you go, in rams, and that's where that loader's working over there, you see. So yeah, there's this lithium seam here, which is what all this cutting out is really about, is to get into that and this hill. Because you can see those hoppers are really low, and this hill's really high, and that's a bulldozer. You're getting the idea. So yeah, I took out everything on this side, the viewpoint and everything from the weekly walkabout. That area of ground over there looks really dark. I don't know if that's shadowing or a massive seam. But that's why I've got that excavator out. I'm going to go excavator driving with the wheeled excavator and see if it's any quicker than one on tracks. Might be the biggest epic fail of a video in history as I get stuck for 15-20 minutes of demonstrating the excavator. But they're still cutting in bulk the ball mode, so that'll be interesting. You see, I've got a seam there and a seam there, and I'm thinking I might just cut them both into a hopper here somewhere. This area was all bulldozed out, which is why it's so rough and ready with the old system. Maybe if I smooth all this out, I'll get better graphics. Who knows? I'm pretty sure that each peak and stuff is a shadow that needs generating and requires a certain amount of your card's energy. So all these vertical cliffs, possibly a bad idea, especially with those overhangs. You see where it's dark. Yeah, I got lag as I fell off smoothing then. That's, yeah, 42.